The telephone rang at exactly 11:47 p.m. on August 4th, 1962. Dorothy Chandler jolted awake in her small apartment in West Hollywood, her heart pounding. Late-night calls were never good news, not in her line of work. As a private duty nurse, she'd seen too many emergencies, too many desperate situations. But nothing could have prepared her for the voice on the other end of that line. "Miss Chandler, this is Eunice Murray. I'm calling from Miss Monroe's residence in Brentwood. We need you to come immediately. Please hurry." Dorothy knew that name. Everyone in Los Angeles knew that name. Marilyn Monroe, the most famous woman in the world. The blonde goddess who'd married Joe DiMaggio and Arthur Miller, who'd sung Happy Birthday to President Kennedy just 3 months earlier, whose face sold more magazines than anyone else alive. "What's the nature of the emergency?" Dorothy asked, already reaching for her uniform. There was a pause. "Just come. 5th Helena Drive. The gate will be open." The line went dead. Dorothy dressed quickly, her hands shaking as she buttoned her white nurse's uniform. She was 41 years old, a widow, a woman who'd seen plenty in her 20 years of nursing. But as she drove through the dark streets of Los Angeles toward Brentwood, she felt a knot of dread forming in her stomach. Something was very wrong. She arrived at 1255 5th Helena Drive at 12:23 a.m., August 5th now technically. The house was a modest Spanish-style hacienda, smaller than she'd expected for someone so famous. Lights blazed from every window. A car she didn't recognize sat in the driveway, engine still ticking as it cooled. Eunice Murray met her at the door. The housekeeper was a thin woman in her 50s, her face pale and drawn. "Thank God you're here," she whispered. "Dr. Greenson just arrived. He's with her now." "With who?" Dorothy asked, though she already knew. "Marilyn. We found her about 40 minutes ago. I couldn't reach Dr. Greenson right away, and I panicked. I called you first. You were on the emergency list she gave me last week." Dorothy followed Eunice down a hallway, her nursing bag heavy in her hand. "What happened?" "I don't know. I woke up and saw a light under her door. That was unusual. She usually kept it dark to sleep. When I knocked, she didn't answer. The door was locked from the inside. I went outside and looked through the window, and I saw her lying on the bed, face down, the phone in her hand. I called Dr. Greenson, then I called you. Then we broke down the door." They'd reached the bedroom. Dorothy stopped in the doorway. Dr. Ralph Greenson, Marilyn Monroe's psychiatrist, stood beside the bed, his face ashen. On the bed lay Marilyn Monroe, face down, completely naked, one arm stretched toward the telephone that had fallen onto the floor. Her platinum blonde hair, famous around the world, was splayed across the pillow. She wasn't moving. Dorothy's nursing instincts kicked in immediately. She rushed to the bedside, checked for a pulse at Marilyn's wrist, then her neck. Nothing. The skin was already cooling. She'd been dead for at least an hour, maybe more. "I've already checked," Dr. Greenson said quietly. "She's gone. I arrived about 10 minutes ago. Mrs. Murray called me at 11:30. I was here by midnight." Dorothy looked around the room. On the nightstand sat multiple prescription bottles, Nembutol, chloral hydrate. Others she recognized as sedatives and barbiturates. Some were empty. The room smelled faintly of alcohol. "Has anyone else been called?" Dorothy asked. "The police? An ambulance?" Dr. Greenson and Eunice exchanged glances. "Not yet," the doctor said. "We needed to assess the situation first." Something about his tone made Dorothy's skin prickle. "Dr. Greenson, a woman is dead. We need to call the authorities immediately." "Of course," he said quickly. "But first, I need you to help me understand what happened. You're a professional. Tell me what you see." Dorothy looked at the scene more carefully. Marilyn lay face down on the bed in an unusual position, too posed, too straight. The phone cord was stretched taut as if she'd been reaching for it when she died, but the pill bottles were all on the nightstand, neatly arranged, caps screwed on tight. "If she overdosed," Dorothy said slowly, "she would have been disoriented, confused. She wouldn't have carefully replaced all these bottle caps. And her position, people who die from barbiturate overdose usually curl up, become fetal. They don't lie perfectly straight like this. Dr. Greenson's jaw tightened. What are you suggesting? I'm not suggesting anything. I'm observing. But this doesn't look like a typical overdose scene to me. Eunice Murray made a small sound, almost like a sob. She was so sad lately, the housekeeper said. After Mr. Miller left her, after the studio fired her, after everything. She'd been talking about ending it all. Just last week she said she didn't know if she could go on. Did she say that to you? Dorothy asked. Eunice hesitated. Well, not directly to me, but Dr. Greenson mentioned it. He was treating her for depression. Dorothy looked at the psychiatrist. Dr. Greenson, how many sessions had you had with Miss Monroe this week? Several. She was quite fragile. The breakup with Mr. Miller hit her very hard, even though it was 2 years ago now, and the studio terminating her contract from Something's Got to Give. That was devastating. She felt washed up, discarded. She was only 36, but felt her career was over. But she had that nude photo shoot for Vogue just last month, Dorothy pointed out. The photos were beautiful. She seemed vibrant, alive. And I read she was being rehired for the film. Fox wanted her back. Dr. Greenson's face hardened slightly. Miss Chandler, I don't think you understand the complexity of Miss Monroe's psychological state. She was a deeply troubled woman. The public saw one thing, but in private, she was falling apart. Dorothy turned back to the body, something nagging at her trained eye. She gently turned Marilyn's head to examine her face. The actress's eyes were half open, her mouth slightly parted. There was no foam, no discoloration around the lips, common signs of barbiturate overdose when pills are taken orally. Dr. Greenson, Dorothy said carefully, were you here earlier tonight, before Mrs. Murray called you? No. Why would you ask that? Because there's lividity pattern on her back and buttocks suggesting she's been lying on her stomach for at least 2 hours, probably longer. Mrs. Murray said she found her around 11 p.m. That means she would have died around 9 p.m. or earlier. Yet Mrs. Murray said she checked on her at 8 p.m. and everything was fine. That's a very narrow window. The room fell silent. Outside, Dorothy could hear the distant sound of traffic on Sunset Boulevard, the rustle of eucalyptus trees in the night breeze. Miss Chandler, Dr. Greenson said, his voice taking on a harder edge. I think you're overstepping your role here. You were called to provide nursing assistance, not to conduct an investigation. I was called to an emergency. But when I arrived, the emergency was already over and nothing had been done. No ambulance called, no police notified. Instead, you and Mrs. Murray have been here alone with a body for at least 30 minutes, possibly longer. That's not standard procedure, doctor, you know that. Eunice Murray started crying softly. We just wanted to make sure. We wanted to protect her dignity. Can you imagine what the press would do, what they'd say? She deserves better than to be remembered as just another Hollywood suicide. If it was suicide, Dorothy said quietly. The words hung in the air like smoke. Dr. Greenson moved toward Dorothy, not threateningly, but with purpose. Miss Chandler, you're a good nurse, I can tell. You're observant and intelligent. But you need to understand something. Marilyn Monroe was not just a patient, she was a symbol. The whole world loved her, needed her to be what they wanted her to be. The truth is often more complicated than people want to believe. What truth? Dorothy asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he picked up the telephone from the floor and dialed. Yes, this is Dr. Ralph Greenson. I'm at 12505 5th Helena Drive in Brentwood. I need to report a death. Marilyn Monroe has died. It appears to be an overdose of barbiturates, possibly intentional. Yes, I'll wait for the police. He hung up and looked at Dorothy. The police will be here in 10 minutes. When they arrive, you'll tell them that you were called to assist with a medical emergency, but the patient was already deceased when you arrived. You observed multiple prescription medication bottles consistent with an overdose. You have no reason to suspect anything other than a tragic suicide. Do you understand? Dr. Greenson, do you understand?" His voice was steel now. "Miss Chandler, there are things happening in this city, in this country, that are bigger than you or me or even Marilyn Monroe. There are powerful people who need this to be simple. Tragic, yes. Sad, absolutely. But simple. A troubled star, too many pills, a desperate act. That's the story. What about the truth?" "The truth," Dr. Greenson said, "is that Marilyn Monroe was a deeply disturbed woman who struggled with addiction and depression her entire adult life. The truth is that despite her fame and beauty and success, she was profoundly unhappy. The truth is that she called me at 7:30 this evening, crying, saying she couldn't go on. The truth is that I told her I'd come by in the morning, that she should take her medication and try to sleep. The truth is that I failed her. And now she's gone." Dorothy wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe that this was exactly what it appeared to be, a sad, simple tragedy. But her instincts, honed by 20 years of nursing, told her something was wrong. The police arrived at 12:40 a.m. Officers Jack Clemens and several others from the West Los Angeles Division. They took statements from everyone. Dorothy told them what Dr. Greenson had instructed her to say, but she couldn't bring herself to lie completely. When Officer Clemens asked if anything seemed unusual, she said, "The scene feels staged to me. I can't put my finger on why, but something doesn't fit." Clemens made a note but didn't pursue it. By 1 a.m., the house was full of police, photographers, and investigators. Marilyn Monroe's body was photographed from every angle, the pill bottles cataloged, statements taken and retaken. Dorothy left at 2 a.m. As she walked to her car, a man stepped out of the shadows. He was middle-aged, wearing a dark suit despite the late hour, and his face was completely unmemorable, the kind of face you'd forget 5 minutes after seeing it. "Miss Chandler," he said quietly, "my name is Agent Patterson. I'm with the Federal Bureau of Investigation." Dorothy's blood ran cold. "Why would the FBI be here?" "We're not here, officially. But I need you to understand something. Miss Monroe was involved with some very important people at the highest levels of government. There are national security implications to her death that go beyond what happened in that bedroom tonight." "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the fact that Marilyn Monroe had affairs with both the President of the United States and the Attorney General. I'm talking about the fact that she kept a diary, now missing, that allegedly contained sensitive information she overheard during pillow talk. I'm talking about the fact that there are people in Washington and Moscow and Havana who all had reasons to want her silenced." Dorothy felt dizzy. "Are you saying someone killed her?" "I'm saying that what happened to Marilyn Monroe tonight is going to be officially ruled a probable suicide. That ruling will stand. The investigation will be perfunctory. No one will dig too deep, and anyone who tries to suggest otherwise will find themselves in a very difficult position. Do you understand what I'm telling you? You're threatening me." "I'm protecting you," Agent Patterson said, "the same way I'm protecting this country from a scandal that could bring down a presidency. Go home, Miss Chandler. Forget everything you saw tonight. Live your life. That's not a threat. It's advice from someone who's seen what happens to people who don't take it." He walked away, disappearing into the darkness. Dorothy drove home in a daze. She arrived at her apartment as dawn was breaking over Los Angeles, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, the same colors as Marilyn Monroe's famous platinum hair. She never spoke publicly about that night, not when the coroner ruled Marilyn's death a probable suicide, not when conspiracy theories began swirling about the Kennedys, the mob, the CIA, not when dozens of books and documentaries dissected every moment of Marilyn's final days. Dorothy kept her silence for 60 years, but she kept something else too, something she'd noticed in those first few minutes in Marilyn's bedroom, before the police arrived, before Agent Patterson's warning. She'd noticed a small bruise on Marilyn's hip, consistent with an injection site. She'd noticed that several of the pill bottles were full, not empty as they should have been if Marilyn had overdosed orally. She'd noticed a half-full glass of water on the nightstand that showed no fingerprints when the police dusted it later, as if someone had wiped it clean. Most importantly, she'd noticed something in the phone records that the police either missed or ignored. Marilyn Monroe had made a phone call at 9:30 p.m. that night, 30 minutes after she was supposedly dead. The call lasted 3 minutes. It was to a Washington, D.C. number that was later identified as the main switchboard at the Justice Department. Who had Marilyn called? Or more importantly, who had called Marilyn? Dorothy never found out, but she thought about it every day for the rest of her life. In 2022, Dorothy Chandler died at the age of 101 in a nursing home in Palm Springs. Among her effects was a sealed envelope addressed to anyone who still cares about the truth. Inside was a 12-page handwritten account of August 4th, 1962, along with a single photograph she'd secretly taken that night while the police were distracted. The photograph showed Marilyn Monroe's nightstand. In the image, barely visible, was something the official police photos somehow missed. A small leather-bound diary, red in color, lying half hidden under the bed. The diary that, according to FBI reports, didn't exist. The diary that, according to multiple witnesses, Marilyn had been writing in constantly during her final weeks. The diary that vanished sometime between 11:47 p.m. on August 4th and 2 a.m. on August 5th. Dorothy's account ended with a single question written in shaky handwriting. What was in that diary that was worth killing for? The envelope was found by Dorothy's granddaughter, Rebecca Chandler, an investigative journalist for the Los Angeles Times. Rebecca spent 3 years verifying her grandmother's account, tracking down surviving witnesses, examining old police reports, and FOIA requesting FBI files that had been sealed for 60 years. What she discovered was a pattern of inconsistencies, missing evidence, and official stonewalling that suggested her grandmother had been right all along. The probable suicide of Marilyn Monroe was anything but certain. The phone records Dorothy mentioned? They existed, but the August 4th logs were mysteriously incomplete. The bruise on Marilyn's hip, never mentioned in the official autopsy report, though Dorothy's notes described its location precisely. The diary? The FBI admitted in declassified documents that they had sought to locate and secure a diary believed to contain sensitive information, but claimed they never found it. Dr. Ralph Greenson died in 1979, taking whatever secrets he knew to his grave. Eunice Murray lived until 1994, and in her final years gave contradictory interviews, sometimes suggesting that things might not have been exactly as reported, but never elaborating. Agent Patterson, if that was even his real name, was never identified. In 2023, Rebecca Chandler published her findings in a book titled The Last Call: What My Grandmother Saw the Night Marilyn Monroe Died. The book became a bestseller and reignited the debate about what really happened that August night in Brentwood. But for Dorothy Chandler, who took the truth to her grave, it was never about solving a mystery or exposing a conspiracy. It was simpler than that. It was about a woman, a beautiful, troubled, desperately lonely woman who called out for help, and no one came in time. Whether she died by her own hand, by accident, or by something more sinister, the result was the same. The world lost Marilyn Monroe at 36 years old, and 60 years later, we still don't know why. Dorothy's final entry in her account, written just months before her death, read, "I think about her every day. Not Marilyn Monroe the movie star, but Norma Jean, the lost girl underneath all that platinum hair and red lipstick. She was naked when I saw her that night, not just physically but in every way. Stripped of her glamour, her fame, her protective shell. She was just a woman alone in a bedroom, reaching for a telephone that couldn't save her. I've wondered 1,000 times, who was she calling that last time? Who did she need so desperately to reach? Was it the president? A lover? A friend? God? Or was she calling for her mother who couldn't love her? For her father who never knew her? For all the people who saw only Marilyn and never saw Norma Jean underneath? I don't know. I'll never know. But I know this. In her last moments, she was alone. And that's the real tragedy. Not how she died, but how alone she was when it happened. The whole world loved Marilyn Monroe. But when she needed someone most, there was no one there. That's what I can't forget. That's what haunts me still. On the 60th anniversary of Marilyn Monroe's death in 2022, the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office announced they were reopening the investigation based on new evidence. What that evidence was, they wouldn't say. The investigation is still ongoing. Dorothy Chandler's photograph of the Red Diary has been analyzed by forensic experts. They confirm it's authentic, taken at the scene, never before published. The FBI has been asked to explain why their crime scene photos don't show the diary that's clearly visible in Dorothy's picture. They have yet to respond. In Hollywood, at the corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Vine Street, there's a star on the Walk of Fame bearing Marilyn Monroe's name. Every year on August 5th, fans leave flowers, lipstick kisses, photographs, and notes. "We still love you," they write. "You'll never be forgotten." But among the tributes in 2023, there was a new kind of message. Written in chalk on the sidewalk beside her star, in a shaky hand that might have been Rebecca Chandler's, were the words, "What was in the diary, Marilyn? What did you know?" The chalk washed away in the next rain. The question remains, and somewhere in Washington, in a classified vault that may or may not exist, there may or may not be a small red leather diary filled with the handwriting of a woman who died 60 years ago. A woman who knew too much, loved too desperately, and died too young. But that's just speculation. The official cause of death is still probable suicide by barbiturate overdose. Case closed. Or is it?